Dear friends, good morning to all. Today we are going to learn the hydrological cycle. As you know that there is a rainfall every year and in every monsoon. But how this process activate and how this process uh, functions we have to see. In the previous lecture, we have seen these all processes which occurred in the hydrological cycle: precipitation, infiltration, percolation, evaporation, interception, and condensation. But what exactly the process occurred whenever the cycle is there or cycle is functioning or hydrological cycle is functioning, we have to see. So far hydrological cycle is concerned, this diagram is very important because unless and until we couldn't understand this diagram, we can't realize and we can't understand the hydrological cycle. Because first first important thing over here is what exactly the cycle means. Cycle is the process in which whenever the any process starts, it completes its own process and ends at the start point. So start and end points are there in any cycle. So similarly, there is a hydrological cycle. Whenever there is a occurrence of the precipitation on the land, uh, at the same time it moves ahead according to the slope or according to the territory, and somewhere it gets stored. It may be lake, pond, seas, oceans, and many more. But out of these water, complete water is not stored in the reservoir, but some amount of water get percolate into the cracks, crevices, and gaps of the underground water, and it works as a underground water. So this is the percolation process, and percolation process depends on the physiography of the particular region. If hard, whatever the strata of the rock, whatever the type of rock, how much is the slope, how much is the denseness of the rocks and soil. So that things are also important in the percolation process. So once the rainfall occurs, it flows according to the slope, and some amount of water get percolate, and some amount of water get infiltered. Infilter again depends on the again depends on the types of rocks and the many things. So according to that, there is a infiltration process. Cracks, gaps, crevices, and joints, fractures helps to infiltrate the water, and it act as again groundwater outflow. Sometimes it may overflow in the forms of springs, and this is also again the process of hydrological cycle. Okay, whenever the whenever the water gets stored somewhere, it at the same moment it starts to evaporate due to the temperature, due to the sunlight, and that's why it change into the vapor form or in the gaseous form from the liquid form. So some amount of this water, it also evaporate in the transpiration from vegetation, evaporation from the soil also occurred, evaporation from the reservoir also occurred, and some surface outflow is also there. And in the last, too much amount of water, most of the water is collected in the ocean or in the seas. And at the same time, as I have already discussed, that how whatever the water gets stored, that get evaporate. Same way, evaporation process also occurs in the ocean, and thus there is a continuous evaporation process, and finally it reaches whatever the moisture, whatever the water vapors forms over there, it reaches to the upper level of the atmosphere. And as you know that there is a less temperature as you go higher and higher, and whenever these water vapors and all molecules of the moisture reaches to the height, condensation process occurs. And what exactly the condensation? Condensation is nothing but the process by which water vapor, means gaseous forms, change into the liquid form, and this continuous process is also occurred into the hydrological cycle, that is condensation. And whenever there is a uh, completion of the condensation process, means whenever there is the formation of little drops of water that falls due to the heavy weight of their uh, particles or of their water drops, and they fall in the form of precipitation. Thus, the process of hydrological cycle completes in a year, and that's why there is a rotation of the monsoon, or there is a rotation of the water rainfall or the precipitation every year. That's why it is said that everywhere there is a rainfall every per year. But somewhere there is a less amount of water, some amount of less rain, heavy rainfall, and somewhere there is a less rainfall or scanty rainfall. Why it is so? It is only due to the favorable conditions for the precipitation or the for the rainfall, and that's why there somewhere there is a heavy rainfall, while there is somewhere there is a less rainfall. So what exactly the hydrological cycle? The cycle is an essential in shaping the Earth's environment. The availability of water being a critical factor for life, as well as for many chemical reactions and transformation affecting the physical environment. Describing the various components of the hydrological cycle and analyzing the mechanisms responsible for the exchange of water between the different reservoirs are thus important elements of climatology. Means climatology, physiography, environment, all these factors contributing their role in the hydrological cycle, and thus the hydrological cycle get completed. But the main three processes are there, which we have to discuss over here. First one is the precipitation. As you know that precipitation is nothing but the form of rainfall, snowfall, hail, frost, fog, dew, etc. when reaches to the watershed from atmosphere is called precipitation, and it is a common phenomena in India. Somewhere there is a snowfall, somewhere there is a rainfall, somewhere there is a dew, somewhere there is a fog, somewhere there is a frost. But in the India, snowfall occurs in Himalayan ranges and other forms found wherever there is a favorable condition. So interception is process is also important. Interception, precipitation that does not reaches to the ground, but it is instead intercepted by the leaves, branches of plants and the forest floor. As you know that whenever there is a rainfall, their water droplets fall on the leaves of the plants, grass and trees and shrubs, and all that whatever the amount of water droplets remain over here, that is nothing but the interception. Means that amount of water cannot fall on the ground directly, so that is the interception. How much amount of water is get intercepted, that is determined by the cover of the vegetation and cover of the forest. So it completely depends on the percentage or the quantity of the forest and the vegetative cover of particular area. Infiltration. The flow of water through soil surface is called as infiltration. Rainfall, runoff, transpiration of plants and evaporation from soil surface of the watershed largely depends on infiltration. Infiltration fills soil moisture deficiency and excess water moves towards the groundwater storage. Infiltration is nothing but the flow of water through soil surface. This part of water is called percolation, but some amount of, whenever there is a flow, some amount of water get percolate. The maximum rate at which the soil in any given condition is capable of absorbing water is called infiltration capacity. How much amount of water get infiltrated, how much intensity is there, that is capacity will determine. Absorbing capacity, capable of absorbing water is called infiltration capacity, and that's why infiltration also varied from place to place, region to region, and time to time. So this is all about the hydrological cycle. As I have already told you, these processes we have explained in the previous lecture, but the main and important thing over here is diagrammatic presentation of hydrological cycle. How this cycle get complete in a 1 year or in one region, and particularly in the watershed. So hydrological cycle is nothing but the one complete process, complete cycle, which starts from precipitation and ends with the precipitation again. In between there are many processes which occurred meanwhile, and that's thus there is a completion of hydrological cycle. Okay, today we stop here. Thank you very much.